Fun fact of the day, Gundam is the 13th highest grossing media franchise ever, over chumps such as Batman and Barbie. What I'm taking away from that is a simultaneous endorsement that model kits are cooler than Batman and more popular than a children's doll franchise. But Gundam isn't just about its amazing figures. It's the TV series, manga, movies, merchandise, and of course, video games. Bandai Namco recently contacted me to give a sponsored look at the newest Gundam game, and me having never consumed a single slice of this media juggernaut's pie in my lifetime, thought to myself, if I do this as a business partnership, I can officially put Gundam Pilot on my resume. Enter Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation 2, a newly released free-to-play online mech battle game for the PS4. Really, my reasons to accept the sponsorship boils down to number 1, no matter how old I get, giant mechs fighting is and always will be awesome. Number 2, my brother-in-law is a huge fan of the franchise and I'm trying to subtly secure an invite to their next hobby night. Number 3, FromSoft's other claim to fame lies in the mech battle genre, so maybe a similar title will pique my interest in their back catalog. Number 4, I'm always down to be a guinea pig and bring attention to free games you all might not otherwise hear about. And number 5, I'm dying to hear some sweet free jazz. Without further ado, let's jump into Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation 2. Now, I've gotta be upfront in that my Gundam knowledge begins and ends with a small amount of research I did for the intro. What I do know is I want to be that guy, and naturally as weebs, we all want authenticity when choosing our voiceover language. And I made a mistake. Well, I can't say that I understand any of these, but I believe they're making it rain just for logging in for the first time. In the beauty parlor, there's a few basic options to create a pilot: gender, haircut, hair color, faces, and height. So if there's any chance I have to fight on foot, it would make sense to be short and have smaller hitboxes. Afterwards, you're treated to a tutorial that walks you step by step into becoming a godly Gundam jockey. From hopping aboard, to capturing objectives, to slashing with your energy swords, you're tested on all the basics you need to jump in. I can't overstate though, picking English really would have been helpful. It's a bit silly to have no easy way to swap back from the main menu, but I was eventually able to change it once the tutorial ended. Once you finish the gameplay tutorial, you'll make it back to the base for more introductions, including my personal favorite, the Loot Guru. I talked to this dude one time and he started showering me with an absurd amount of Gundams. I'm guessing it's all those pop-ups I got earlier, but sadly I still didn't get him. Head over to the shop lady to find out he costs over 50,000 DP, which is 10 times more than they started me off with. But hey, it's not like they're gonna give you the crowning jewel right off the bat. Really, I have no idea if he's even a good Gundam, but he's the only one I recognize and he looks awesome. There are a boatload of other Gundams listed and it appears they have level requirements to unlock, with higher level models having better stats. In a trade-off, they have a higher cost, which corresponds to how many points they award when the enemy team destroys that Gundam. It's an interesting strategic balance to strike. Do you go with lower end stats so that you can be a pawn? Do you run mid-tier stats and be a knight? Or are you a queen going all in with high risk, high reward plays? It's a tough balance to strike on your own, and I know I'd feel terrible throwing for my team. That said, with what was available, I did what any sane person would do and picked the coolest looking Gundam I could afford. After which, she asked me for the gold coins the Loot Guru handed me. Welp, I guess it's time to roll the dice. Oh wow, there's an actual ship that flies in to drop a literal loot crate. Oh baby, that's the kind of luck I'm talking about. There is a ton to unpack here. You can customize each Gundam's loadout, get background info on the model, enhance their stats, and register them to take out in the field. There are customizations for your pilot, an enormous list of missions that award in-game currency, a database to track your stats, and a store to buy those golden tokens from. As I understand it, there are 3 currencies: DP, recycle tickets, and tokens. DP are awarded through completing challenges, doing training, playing matches, and so on. Recycle tickets are a currency generated by tossing old parts into the scrap heap for a new toy. And then there are tokens which can be rewarded from certain challenges, but are primarily purchased through the PlayStation Store. I want to be as transparent about that as I can, so I'll give you my personal thoughts on the free-to-play model and how well it's done here. Free-to-play games need monetization to survive, and microtransactions are the quintessential method of providing that fuel. I'm always down to try anything once, especially for the price of free. If I'm having a blast with a free game, I'll want to show my appreciation by supporting it and providing some of that fuel. The catch is that this all depends on how the microtransactions are handled. If they're a shortcut to faster progress and provide valuable tools to players who buy in without providing a competitive advantage in game, that's alright in my book. What I don't support is pay-to-win methodologies or long grinds that put a proverbial uphill climb to competing with those who spend. Naturally, the grind to unlock everything for free will be longer, but as long as you don't have cash cows beating you down with a competitive advantage, I'm fine with the idea of purchasing tokens to speed up your ability to unlock things for those who want want to. Granted, my time with the game is limited, but from what I could tell, you can purchase everything in the shop with DP and recycled tickets. That includes the Gundams you want, the pieces of their arsenal, and even their cosmetics. The grind is going to be subjective for everyone though, so if you're interested in the game, I encourage you to try it out for yourself. It's free after all. If you find the grind is a nice pace, then awesome. If you love the game and want to support the developers by buying some tokens, good on you. And if you find the game's grind is scaled harshly toward encouraging you to spend money, vote by not opening your wallet. As long as these type of boosters aren't making their way into a non-free game, I think it's a fair trade. It's all about balancing it in a fun way. And personally, I feel like this game nailed that. They handed out so many different Gundams to me from the get-go, and I never felt like my ability to compete was hampered online. Well, other than by my lack of talent as a Gundam pilot. Speaking of which, with all the nuts and bolts hammered in, let's get to talking about the gameplay I've been running in the background. The Gundam models are broken down into 3 types: General, Support, and Raid. They work in a Rochambeau style, so you'll need to keep track of who you're fighting on the battlefield. The matches you play can range from super casual to serious business. These sorties can take place in space or with boots on the ground and are always a 6-on-6 team battle. In addition, each mode has a cost restriction. This is the maximum level of Gundam you're allowed to pilot, though you can play that chess game I mentioned and use a lower end model. The cost allowance of each mode seems to cycle every few hours, giving you opportunities to use different Gundams in different situations over time. Now let's talk mechanics. Your Gundams are able to move around by running and using jets for a boost. You have a limited usage of these over time before they overheat, and that goes for most of your equipment. On the Chosen one, I had a big laser gun, a pea shooter, and a laser sword. All had an overheat mechanic or a cooldown bar, and I have to say they were noticeably lengthy. Speaking of girth, these Gundams are tanky, both in terms of movement speed and HP. It makes sense though, giant mechs should have thoughtful movement and lots of endurance. This makes coordinating team kills a vital part of claiming victory. Anytime I went out on my own, I was often destroyed in an organized assault by the enemy team. Another factor is balancing your cooldowns. Since they are so lengthy, you need to utilize your entire toolkit, swapping quickly on the fly, creating combos, and choosing the right weapon for every situation. As for the objectives, you can capture points to give your team a spawn advantage on the map. From these, you can periodically call in airstrikes. To do so, you actually have to get out on foot. If you're using a high-cost unit, leaving your mech unattended could be a huge risk, so smart teams would likely work together to defend their low-cost comrades as they handle capture duty. When on foot, you do have guns and bazookas to light up other pilots or mechs if you're feeling brave, and you can repair your Gundam, though it takes a long time. It's still very useful if you have a bit of downtime between skirmishes. Finally, you can destroy enemy bases for a huge point boost, and the team with the most points at the end wins the game. In my first game, I played it the same misguided way that I play most team-based shooters. I go in with full tunnel vision thinking I can put the team on my back, when in reality, I'm the one who needs to be nestled deep within someone's carry-on. It was quickly clear that coordinating your team to a death ball and destroying isolated Gundams was the way to win. It was also apparent how important capturing the spawn points was. You need map control, otherwise your team will be backed in a corner, stacking the odds against you. In the first match, I was mostly taking potshots at the enemy from afar, but it wasn't anything spectacular, just chip damage here and there. But my team, man, they were killing it. And you know why? Because your man Democracy is a master of diversion. First place, baby. Look at my rival. He was in third with 13% less. Sure, all my other stats were slightly below average, except for deaths, which I came dead last in with 5, but hey, diversions don't come without a cost. And after the win, I was awarded with a silver crate that gave me a new gun to try out. My second battle I took into space, and it had a cost of 400, so I could finally bring out the big boy. Space is the same idea, but the movement completely changes the game. Instead of being stuck in certain areas, you can now fly under, above, around, and wherever you like to strike as a team. And I have to say, even though ground battles are a lot of fun and have a nice change of pace with boots on the ground tactics, flying around in space in an all-out mecha war is incredible. I played a lot better too, more like lukewarm garbage instead of the steaming pile I put out in my first ground match. I actually managed to get in a few melee strikes, and I finished in the top half for both mech kills and only died a single time. This is because I started to get down that it's valuable to keep yourself alive, hang back, and play the long game of capitalizing on moments when your team isolates an enemy Gundam. The strategies and playstyles of all the different Gundams available add a lot of complexity to these situations, and as I continued playing matches, I had a lot of fun trying them all out. To give my overall impressions, this is by no means a world beater vying for Game of the Year, but it doesn't need to be. What it does need to be is an entertaining game to pop on every time you're feeling in the mood to step in the shoes of a Gundam. For that, the game is pretty great. The movement takes some getting used to, the cooldowns make your shots count a lot, which is painful for someone like me who has mediocre aim, but at the same time, it's so satisfying when you nail it and kill an enemy Gundam. When you don't and bite the big one, you can learn to adapt to how you were outplayed or how to position yourself better next time. And as you play more matches, matches, you unlock more and more gear to diversify your loadouts that help develop your own playstyle. Honestly, I was surprised at how much fun I had with the game. I initially went in expecting to play a few matches and do a write-up, but soon found myself saying just one more match until it was the early hours of the morning. It's not perfect, but it was a great reintroduction to the mecha genre and piqued my curiosity about the Gundam franchise. And at the price of free, if you've got a PS4, why not give it a try? If you do, be sure to leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of the game and sound off on what you thought of the video, other than telling me my gameplay is horrendous. I know, okay, but I had fun, so don't roast me. Too hard anyway. I hope you enjoyed this diversion from my main content. Sponsorships go a long way in supporting the channel, and I always do my best to make them as entertaining as I can. With that, I want to thank you for watching today, much love to you, and I'll see you in the next video.